Hey guys, this is Daniel with Pwn CNC, and we're going to put together, assemble some boots. Let's get started on assembling version 3. So in version 3, let's review the parts here. We've got the main boot part, we've got the face piece, we're going to have a brush, a wings, and acrylic. So the first thing you'll notice is the boot has got a very open design. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the acrylic. Pull the face piece off. Let's start with the face piece on the acrylic. So I'm going to pull it out. Inside of your acrylic bag you should find 4 M3 by 10 socket head or button head screws. Tear this open. We're going to find the large boot piece acrylic, and we're going to find a little curved piece here. This is the part that's going to go right onto the boot, or onto the face. So and set it gently onto our face piece, line up our holes, then we're going to take 2 of the button head screws, and I'm going to get them started with my hand, and then I'm going to switch over to a 2mm hex driver. Now we want to make sure that the acrylic is nice and flat up against the flush of the face here. Next, we're going to jump over to the brush real quick. We're going to set this aside for a second. We're going to jump over to the brush because the brush is a fun part. And with the face pieces, there's a slight edge to the bottom of to the face piece, which means you can slide in, and if sliding is a little difficult, you can also press it into place. There it goes. Just press that brush right into place. It's going to sit out a little bit. You can let it sit out a little bit on the front side here. Take some flush cutter, a box knife. If you do, just kind of put it in there, kind of wiggle it back and forth until the seat breaks. The seat of the brush, that's the butt end here. You can do the same to the other side, or if you've got flush cutters, significantly faster to do that. There. Now we've got our face part fully assembled. Let's jump back over to our boot. And we're going to peel the paper. There we go. So we've got our acrylic all cleaned up. We're going to take it, set it right into the tray of the lip right there on the boot. Just kind of push it back into place and then set it down, and the front of the acrylic should now be flush with the front of the boot. If you need to, just kind of grab it like this and pull it back so that it fully seats into the back piece there, and that should give plenty of room there on the front. So then we take our button head screws, and now our acrylic is now on. Now we can jump over to the brush. So the brush on this is also just as easy. It is press in, so that's super convenient. Just press that in there. It's okay to let it stick out just a tiny bit. This does go pretty, the curve here is pretty big, so be sure when you're pressing it in not to bend the brush too much. Just going to press it in there. There it goes. Just kind of. You might need to take a flathead screwdriver. 1 second. Just to help you seat it. And gently push down on the seat part to help push it in further if you need to. The seat part should be fully recessed into that hole. Be careful, you don't want your screwdriver to slip. You might even put it like this and just press down on it. Just press down gently. You don't want it to slip like that. So I've got my brush in there, and of course I put a little nick on my boot, so be careful when you do that. Once you've got it in there, then you could take some flush cutters again and just kind of flush cut both sides there. Hold on to this. I'm sure I'll have something that'll utilize that available if you're a maker or whatnot. But there, now we've got our brush. The brush should be sitting pretty vertical, going up and down. And yeah, then of course we've got our face piece. Slips right on there, and this forms a nice 360 right around your cutting area, which your router would come down and be doing its business. So the next thing we're going to talk about is, let me get all this stuff out of the way, are the wings. So the wings come in a little pack. There's 2 of them, and it comes with 4 socket head M3 by 10 screws. And we're going to be installing them right here on the sides of the boot. So we're going to take a wing, just place it right there on the side, and there are 2 screws. So most of the machines that I support today, we're going to be using this first screw and this third screw to place in our and it's going to be a tight fit, but it is a nice set. There's a slight edge right here on the back of the boot. That's fine. It should still line up pretty well with your machine. Now, if you need to, you can utilize some of these other holes here. I've added additional ones for additional variety in the machines that I support. The key piece is we want the bit and the router to be perfectly centered in this circle here, in this circle opening here. So whenever the router comes down, it can easily pass through the boot if it needs to, but the bit should always sit right in the center of that circle to fully capture all of the dust and that sort of thing. So these wings allow you to mount them anywhere along this part. A good, I believe it's 42 millimeters front to back adjustability. And that's for a variety of CNC machines and brands, carriages, configurations. I've noticed the more that I support, more machines that I supported, the more variety in that adjustability, in that front to back movement there was. So for example, if you were using an X-Carve with a TBD CNC router mount, their mount actually sits a little further forward than the stock mount, and therefore the boot has to scoot forward a little bit to compensate for that adjustability. And depending on which machine you have, this gives us a lot of options for that. But there we go. We have version 3 all assembled. The magnets are exceedingly strong, so you may need to, whenever you pull it off, you may need to stick your finger right in here, grab both sides, and just kind of pull, or yank, or whatever. But there are a couple of pins there. Those set into holes in the boot. That prevents lateral movement. The magnets help prevent front to back movement. And yeah, there you go. You can cut or you can use this boot with the face piece off if you'd like, if you want to do some carving or some filming or something like that, or you want a really good view of what's going on there at the cutting area. This obviously gives you plenty of viewing area, but if you just want to slap that on, you get really good suction capabilities there right at the boot, right at the bit. So yeah. Then you can, now that you've got the boot assembled, you can move on to the bracketing for your particular machine.